idle chatter and the occasional burst of laughter as I glanced at my phone. Its screen lit up brightly with an incoming call. Jason. I felt a small flutter of warmth, expecting the usual small talk. How's the trip? When will you be home? Miss you already. I politely excused myself, stepping out into the quiet hallway of our Manhattan office, away from the busy hum of colleagues reviewing client proposals. The late afternoon sun poured through the expansive glass windows, painting golden reflections onto the polished marble floors. Taking a breath, I swiped to answer. Hey, Jason, I said warmly, already feeling a sense of comfort at hearing my husband's voice. But there was no warmth returned. Instead, Jason's voice cut through coldly, indifferent and almost smug. Olivia, I'm divorcing you. The words hit me like an icy slap, stealing my breath instantly. My heart sank into my stomach, disbelief paralyzing me momentarily. I must have heard wrong. Excuse me? I said quietly, desperately trying to keep my voice steady. You heard me. It's over, he said matter-of-factly. Oh, and I've already sold the house, so you might want to figure out where you're going to live. Have fun with that. My fingers tightened around the phone, knuckles turning pale white. The sheer audacity of his casual cruelty stunned me. I swallowed hard, desperately trying to maintain composure. You sold the house? Our house? Yeah, he laughed dryly. Sophie and I need the money to start fresh. She deserves better than that overpriced place anyway. Sophie? My voice cracked slightly, the name echoing painfully in my ears. I had suspected something for months. Late nights, sudden business trips, growing distance. But to hear the woman's name spoken so casually, so cruelly, lit a quiet rage deep inside me. Oh, didn't I mention her? He continued, amusement creeping into his voice. Guess it slipped my mind. I gritted my teeth, refusing to give him the satisfaction of hearing me break. Sounds good, Jason. Thanks for letting me know. Ending the call abruptly, I leaned heavily against the glass wall, the bustling Manhattan street below becoming blurred by tears I refused to shed. My perfect world, my carefully crafted dream, had just shattered into a million pieces. My name is Olivia Carter, and up until that phone call, I believed I had it all figured out. A successful career as a marketing executive at one of Seattle's leading media companies, a beautiful home in Bellevue, and a seemingly perfect marriage to Jason Carter, a highly respected financial consultant. 6 years married, we were considered the ideal couple, envied, admired, flawless. Or so I thought. Looking back now, there had always been subtle signs, small cracks I'd chosen to ignore. Jason brushing off conversations about finances with a charming smile, frequent late nights at work, random weekend conferences that never quite made sense. His easy confidence, I now realized, wasn't because he had it all under control. It was because he knew he could manipulate me into trusting him implicitly. The rest of my day passed in a fog. I nodded at the right times during client meetings, smiled politely and discussed market strategies on autopilot, but my mind raced with anger, confusion, and hurt. Jason believed he'd won. He thought he could sell the life we built together from under my feet and leave me stranded. But Jason underestimated me. There was something crucial he didn't realize. I closed my laptop quietly that evening in my hotel suite overlooking Central Park. Despite the deep ache in my chest, a newfound clarity slowly replaced the shock. Months earlier, we'd refinanced our Bellevue home for a better interest rate. Jason, too careless or arrogant to read the fine print, had signed the house fully into my name. I remembered clearly the meeting at the lawyer's office, his casual wave as he signed away his rights without a second glance. His arrogance, I thought bitterly, would now become his downfall. Determined, I picked up my phone again, dialing the one person I trusted implicitly. Rachel Bennett, my closest friend and one of Seattle's most respected real estate attorneys. She answered on the second ring, warmth in her voice instantly comforting. "Olivia, How's New York? Closing that big deal? Jason's divorcing me, I blurted out, my voice shaky yet resolute. And he says he already sold our house. There was silence, then Rachel's voice, sharp and incredulous. He did what? Olivia, he can't legally sell that house without your consent. You realize it's solely in your name, right? I do, I said calmly, a sudden sense of control returning. Jason doesn't. She laughed dryly, amused and slightly vindictive. Then he's in for a rude awakening. He just committed fraud, Olivia. What's your next move? First, we inform whoever he sold it to that the deal's invalid, I replied evenly, adrenaline slowly calming my frayed nerves. And then we take down Jason. Rachel paused, the weight of the moment sinking in. Good, I'll prepare everything on my end. Call me when you're back in Seattle. As I hung up, my phone buzzed again, showing a text from Hannah Wright, my closest friend and colleague, who was also on this business trip. Hey, Liv, dinner downstairs? We closed the deal, remember? Let's celebrate. I hesitated briefly, then replied, I'll be down soon. Moments later, as I stepped into the hotel bar, the room swirled with the soft hum of jazz music and muted laughter. Hannah and Ethan Ross, another close colleague and friend, were already at a corner table, smiling warmly. Congratulations, superstar! Ethan cheered as I approached, handing me a glass of champagne. You nailed it today. Thanks. I smiled weakly, unable to hide the sadness behind my eyes. Hannah instantly sensed something was wrong. Liv, what happened? I took a deep breath and quietly explained Jason's cruel phone call. Ethan's cheerful expression vanished, replaced by quiet fury, while Hannah's face darkened with disbelief and sympathy. That bastard, Ethan growled softly. You deserve so much better. Hannah squeezed my hand reassuringly. We're here for you, Liv, whatever you need. Their support steadied me, and as I looked into their sincere, caring faces, I realized something deeply important. I wasn't alone. Later that night, alone in bed, my mind raced with possibilities. Jason's betrayal stung deeply, but a stronger, calmer part of me had emerged. I'd always believed happiness meant building a perfect life, a successful marriage, the ideal home, career milestones. But Jason's betrayal exposed a harsh truth. I'd ignored myself, suppressed my doubts, and overlooked his faults for the illusion of perfection. Now that illusion was shattered. But amid the broken pieces, clarity emerged. I wasn't just fighting to reclaim my home or pride. I was fighting for myself. The real Olivia Carter, strong and unbreakable, was ready to step forward. The flight home the following morning gave me hours to strategize. Jason thought he'd strip me of power and dignity, but he'd actually handed me a rare opportunity to reclaim my life, identity, and independence on my own terms. As the plane touched down in Seattle, I felt ready to confront Jason, ready to reclaim my home, and ready to rewrite my own story, one where I finally held the pen. Jason Carter believed he could casually discard me and sell the home I'd poured my heart into. But he'd underestimated my resilience and strength. Jason thought he'd won, laughing coldly at my expense. But tomorrow, he'd learn how swiftly tables could turn and how quickly he could lose everything overnight. I arrived home in Bellevue late in the afternoon, exhausted from travel yet fueled by a sense of determination I hadn't felt in years. Pulling into our driveway, or rather my driveway, I felt an unsettling mix of emotions as I stared at the elegant two-story townhouse Jason and I had once proudly called home. Inside, everything looked deceptively normal. Jason's jacket still draped casually over the chairs, his shoes carelessly tossed by the door. The place felt eerily quiet, the air thick with memories now bitterly tainted. Dropping my bags, I stood still, gathering my strength. I knew confrontation was inevitable, but I was determined to meet it head-on. My phone buzzed sharply, jolting me from my thoughts. I glanced down. It was Hannah. Are you home safe, Liv? Let me know if you need anything. I'm here. Grateful, I texted back quickly. Just got here. I'll call you later. As I slipped the phone into my pocket, it rang abruptly, causing my heart to leap. Jason's number appeared ominously. Bracing myself, I answered calmly, "Hello?" Jason's voice was irritated, coldly dismissive. "Where are you?" "Home," I responded evenly, sensing his anger mounting. "Don't get comfortable," he sneered. "Sophie and I will be there shortly. She wants to see the place again before we finalize things." My jaw tightened. "You won't finalize anything, Jason." He chuckled bitterly, clearly amused by what he thought was empty defiance. "Don't embarrass yourself, Olivia. It's already done." He hung up abruptly, leaving me clutching the phone in quiet fury. My hands trembled slightly, anger and pain battling within me. But I refused to crumble. This was my home, my life, and Jason would soon discover just how mistaken he was. Minutes later, a gentle knock interrupted my pacing. I opened the door cautiously, expecting the worst, only to see Ethan Ross standing there, concern etched deeply into his features. "Ethan? What are you doing here?" "Hannah called me," he admitted gently, stepping inside. "She told me what happened. I couldn't stay away, Liv. Not now." His sincere concern softened my defenses. Suddenly overwhelmed, I felt tears prick at my eyes. Ethan placed a comforting hand on my shoulder. "Olivia, you're not alone in this," he said quietly. "You never were." His words steadied me. But just as I opened my mouth to reply, the front door swung open without warning, Jason arrogantly strolling in, Sophie Mitchell close behind him, her perfectly styled blonde hair framing a smug expression. Jason's eyes narrowed sharply at Ethan's presence. "Who's this?" Before I could respond, Ethan stepped forward calmly, his tone firm. "Ethan Ross, friend of Olivia's." Jason scoffed dismissively. "Whatever. Look, Olivia, this is Sophie. I thought it best you meet her. After all, she'll be moving in soon." Sophie offered a condescending smile, looking around approvingly. "It really is lovely," she purred, clearly relishing my discomfort. "Actually," I interrupted evenly, "this is my home, not yours, and you won't be moving in." Jason's smug expression faltered momentarily before twisting into cold irritation. "Don't make a fool of yourself, Olivia. It's done." My voice remained steady as I stepped forward, confronting him directly. "Actually, it's not. The house is legally mine. You sold something you don't even own." Sophie's eyes widened, confused. "Jason, what's she talking about?" He ignored her question, his gaze locked on mine. "You're bluffing." "No," I replied calmly, holding his gaze. "After refinancing, the deed was transferred solely to my name. You signed off without bothering to read the paperwork." Jason froze, disbelief briefly clouding his arrogance. Sophie shot him a suspicious glance. "Jason, is that true?" He shifted uncomfortably. "It's just a misunderstanding. I'll fix it." My eyes narrowed sharply. "Oh, it's far beyond misunderstanding. What you did is fraud. Selling a property you don't own, that's illegal. And if you've taken any money from the buyer, you'll face criminal charges." Sophie's polished composure cracked instantly. "Fraud? Jason, what's going on? You said the deal was finalized." He hesitated, panic flashing across his face. "Soph, please." "No," she snapped, stepping away from him. "This is ridiculous. You lied to me." Jason reached for her, desperation replacing arrogance. "Let me explain." She raised her hand sharply. "Don't bother. I'm done." Without another glance, she stormed out, leaving Jason red-faced and stunned. Ethan watched silently, satisfaction flickering subtly across his features. Jason spun towards me, anger erupting. "You did this intentionally, didn't you?" I shook my head calmly. "No, Jason. You did this to yourself. Arrogance has consequences." He moved closer, his voice lowered threateningly. "You think you've won? I'll make sure you lose everything." Ethan stepped forward protectively, placing himself calmly between us. "I think you should leave now, Jason." Jason glared fiercely, clearly furious but recognizing defeat. He stormed out without another word, slamming the door loudly behind him. Silence settled heavily. Ethan turned, his expression softening again as he looked at me. "Are you okay?" I exhaled slowly, nodding, though my heart still raced from the confrontation. "I will be. Thank you." He gently squeezed my shoulder, reassuring me. "You're stronger than he realizes, and you're not alone." Later that evening, Hannah joined us at my house. Over takeout, we pieced together Jason's recent behavior, his hidden financial moves, the sudden secretiveness. Hannah's research uncovered debts Jason had carefully concealed, reckless investments hidden behind his polished facade. "Liv," Hannah said seriously, showing me documents on her laptop. "Jason's buried himself in debts. It explains why he tried selling the house so quickly. He's desperate." I sighed heavily, suddenly understanding Jason's urgency. He thought I was his easy way out. Ethan shook his head gravely. "He underestimated you. We all did." I smiled weakly, gratitude warming my chest. For the first time in years, I felt genuinely supported. That night, after Hannah and Ethan left, I received another frantic voicemail from Jason. "Olivia, pick up the phone. We need to talk. You don't understand what you've done. Call me back now." Ignoring the message, I felt a strange calm settle over me. The initial shock had passed, replaced by resolve. Jason had intended to break me with his cruelty, assuming I'd collapse into a helpless victim. But he'd made one crucial error. He'd forgotten who I was. For years, I'd molded myself around his needs, burying my ambitions, my strength, my voice. But now, standing alone in my quiet home, I saw clearly what Jason couldn't. Beneath the polished veneer of our so-called perfect life was a powerful woman waiting to reclaim control. Jason believed he'd destroyed me, laughing cruelly as he tore my life apart with a single phone call. Instead, he had unwittingly ignited a flame that would ultimately burn him down. I took a deep breath, looking around my home, the home I'd worked tirelessly for, now undeniably mine. Tomorrow I would call Rachel Bennett. Tomorrow we would begin dismantling Jason's web of deceit. Tomorrow I would reclaim not just my home, but my dignity and my future. As I finally drifted off, one thought echoed clearly, strengthening my resolve. Jason Carter would soon understand that betrayal was a dangerous game to play, and he was about to lose everything overnight. Sunlight filtered through my bedroom curtains, casting delicate patterns across the walls. It felt surreal waking up alone in this house, a home I'd shared for 6 years with a man I barely recognized anymore. I sat up, my phone buzzing insistently on the bedside table. Picking it up, Rachel Bennett's familiar name flashed across the screen. "Morning, Olivia." Rachel's calm, confident voice came through clearly. "How are you holding up?" "Better than I thought," I admitted, sitting upright in bed and drawing a deep breath. "I'm ready to fight." "Good," she replied, "because things are about to get interesting. Jason made the sale illegally. The buyer's name is Andrew Stevens. He's furious after finding out the deal was invalid. He's willing to cooperate with us completely." Relief surged through me. "That's good news. What's next?" Rachel's voice hardened professionally. "We'll send Jason formal notification today. He needs to return the money immediately or face legal consequences. You hold all the cards here, Olivia. He's cornered." "Perfect," I said firmly, feeling my resolve strengthen. "Let's get this done." After hanging up, I dressed quickly, driven by newfound determination. Arriving at my office, I immediately found Hannah in our shared workspace, sorting through client briefs. She looked up, her eyes filled with anticipation. "So?" she asked eagerly. "How's everything progressing?" I smiled faintly. Rachel confirmed Jason's trapped. He committed fraud selling a home he doesn't own. Hannah grinned triumphantly. "Exactly what he deserves." Just then, Ethan appeared at my doorway, his expression serious, yet warm. "Morning, Liv. You ready for round 2? I laughed softly, feeling surprisingly buoyant, more than ready. Over the next few days, Rachel systematically unraveled Jason's fraudulent sale. The buyer, a successful local businessman named Andrew Stevens, was furious upon learning he'd been deceived. He immediately agreed to support our case, providing crucial documents to confirm Jason's illegal actions. But Jason didn't go quietly. Voicemails flooded my phone, desperate pleas shifting into angry threats. "You're ruining my reputation, Olivia. Just let me handle this quietly." Jason's messages became increasingly erratic, veering from hostile accusations to desperate apologies. One afternoon, Detective Mark Reynolds, a seasoned investigator and Rachel's longtime friend, appeared unexpectedly at my office, introducing himself politely. "Ms. Carter, I'm Detective Reynolds," he said in a reassuring, professional tone. "Rachel asked me to look into your husband's activities. Do you have a moment?" "Of course," I replied, inviting him inside. Mark carefully laid out evidence of Jason's hidden financial misdealings, substantial debts, and his attempts to conceal these transactions by fraudulently selling our home. "He's deep in debt, Olivia, far deeper than you probably realize." I sighed, shaking my head in disbelief. I had no idea. "Most people don't," Mark said sympathetically. "But Jason's desperation makes him reckless. We'll gather enough evidence to hold him accountable." Meanwhile, Rachel skillfully managed legal maneuvers, strategically cornering Jason and pressuring him into cooperation. But each step forward also revealed deeper betrayals. A few evenings later, Linda Carter, Jason's mother, unexpectedly showed up at my front door. The usually strong, confident woman now appeared shaken, her expression sorrowful as I welcomed her inside. "Oh, Olivia," Linda sighed deeply, gently embracing me. "I can't believe what Jason's done. I'm so sorry." I felt an unexpected warmth at her genuine concern. "It's not your fault, Linda. You raised him better than this." She smiled sadly, sitting carefully on my sofa. "I tried, I really did, but Jason's always chased money, always wanting more. I hoped your marriage would ground him. Clearly, I was wrong." "It fooled me too," I admitted quietly. Linda took my hand gently, squeezing it with maternal reassurance. "Promise me you won't let him break you. You deserve happiness." "I won't," I promised, feeling oddly strengthened by her support. Days passed swiftly as I juggled work responsibilities and ongoing legal matters. Late one evening, Hannah uncovered a startling detail. Jason had siphoned significant sums from our joint savings account, funding his lavish lifestyle with Sophie. "That bastard," Hannah whispered, eyes wide in disbelief as we reviewed documents at her apartment. "He took thousands from your savings, Olivia." I stared numbly at the numbers on the screen, anger flaring anew. He thought I'd never notice, that I was too blind or too trusting to catch on. Ethan gently placed his hand on mine, grounding me. "Then he misjudged you terribly." I smiled gratefully, squeezing his hand softly. Our eyes locked briefly, an electric silence passing between us before I gently pulled away, still uncertain how to process the emotions Ethan stirred within me. The tension was broken by my phone buzzing insistently, Jason calling again. I answered sharply, "What now?" His voice was frantic, barely controlled. "Olivia, listen, please. Let's end this madness before it goes further." I took a deep breath, steeling myself. "You should have thought about that before." Jason's voice shook slightly, betraying vulnerability. "I'm sorry, okay? I never meant—" "You meant every word," I interrupted coolly. "You laughed at my pain, Jason. I'll never forget that." He fell silent, perhaps finally comprehending the damage he'd caused. Quietly, he murmured, "Olivia, please." "I have nothing else to say," I stated firmly, ending the call without another word. That night, alone in my house, I reflected deeply on Jason's betrayal. It stung sharply, yet within that pain grew something new, strength. I realized clearly how much of myself I'd lost trying to sustain a facade of perfection for him. Jason's betrayal was unforgivable, but oddly liberating. His cruelty had forced me to confront the truth, Perfection was a prison I'd willingly entered. Now I was breaking free. Rachel called late that night, optimism in her voice. "We've got him cornered, Olivia. Andrew Stevens is furious with Jason and fully cooperating. Jason's trapped." "Good," I responded firmly. "What now?" "Tomorrow morning, Jason receives official legal notice invalidating the sale," Rachel explained. "Then we'll give him an ultimatum. Return the funds immediately, or we take him to court." "Let's finish this," I replied determinedly. After hanging up, I walked slowly around my home, each room echoing with memories, both beautiful and bitter. Jason's betrayal left deep scars, but within me surged a resilience I'd never known existed. Tomorrow, Jason would finally face the consequences, and I would reclaim my home, my dignity, and ultimately, myself. My phone buzzed again, another message from Ethan. "Just wanted to remind you, you've got this, Liv. Always have, always will." Smiling softly, I responded, "Thank you, Ethan, for everything." His reply was simple, but profound. "Always here for you." As sleep overtook me, a comforting realization emerged. Jason's betrayal had brought unimaginable pain, but it also revealed friendships and strengths I'd unknowingly neglected. Ethan and Hannah's unwavering support, Rachel's fierce advocacy, and even Linda's gentle reassurance reminded me powerfully I was far from alone. Tomorrow marked a turning point. Tomorrow, Jason would learn just how costly arrogance could be. But tonight, resting peacefully, I knew clearly this wasn't just about reclaiming a home or settling a score. This was about reclaiming myself. The flight back to Seattle felt shorter than usual. Maybe it was the adrenaline or perhaps the newfound clarity that sharpened my focus. But either way, as the plane touched down, I knew one thing for certain. I was ready. My heart raced as I stepped inside my Bellevue home. My home. Despite Jason's attempts to strip it away, every detail now felt deeply and undeniably mine. Yet his lingering presence felt heavy, oppressive. His belongings scattered carelessly around, his overpriced leather jackets, shiny dress shoes, even the framed awards from his prestigious financial firm, each a painful reminder of the life we'd once shared. But the energy had shifted. I spent the first hour pacing anxiously, knowing Jason would arrive soon. My phone buzzed with an encouraging text from Rachel. "He knows we voided the sale. Stay calm. I'm just a call away." As if on cue, I heard a car door slam, followed by angry footsteps approaching the front door. My breath caught momentarily as Jason stormed into the house, his face flushed with anger, clutching his phone tightly. "What the hell do you think you're doing, Olivia?" he barked, shaking his phone at me. "You think invalidating the sale changes anything?" I took a deep breath, maintaining my composure. "It changes everything, Jason. This home isn't yours to sell." He threw his hands up in frustration, pacing furiously around the living room. "We built this life together. You can't just erase me." I remained calm, even as my voice hardened. "You erased yourself when you sold our home without my consent. You lied, Jason. You deceived me. You betrayed me. Those were your choices." Before Jason could respond, the front door opened again, and Sophie Mitchell strode confidently inside, freezing when she saw me. "Jason," she asked hesitantly, "what's going on? You told me this was handled." I stared at her calmly, noticing how her confidence faltered under my steady gaze. "It wasn't handled, Sophie. It was fraudulent. Jason never had the right to sell this house. It's in my name alone." Sophie's eyes widened with shock, then anger. She spun towards Jason furiously. "Are you serious? You lied to me?" Jason stumbled over his words. Olivia, don't bother," Sophie snapped harshly, shaking her head in disbelief. "You made me look like a fool. I trusted you, Jason." "Sophie, please," Jason begged, reaching for her arm. "Don't touch me," she hissed, yanking her arm away. "We're done." She stormed out, leaving Jason staring after her, his expression crumbling from anger to panic. After a moment, he turned back to me, his eyes filled with resentment. "You're enjoying this, aren't you?" he spat bitterly. "No," I replied calmly, "but actions have consequences. You taught me that." Just then, Rachel knocked and entered confidently, briefcase in hand, interrupting the tense atmosphere. Her presence instantly reassured me. "Jason," she began sharply, handing him a thick folder, "this is the official notice voiding your sale of this property. Return the money immediately to avoid further legal action." Jason flipped through the documents, visibly shaken. "You're not serious, Liv—" "I'm deadly serious," I said firmly. "You brought this upon yourself." Jason's jaw clenched. He stared at me, eyes cold with fury. "You'll regret this, Olivia." "No," Rachel interrupted firmly. "If you make another wrong move, Jason, you'll be charged with fraud. Trust me, you won't survive that." Jason stood silently, cornered and humiliated. After a long, tense pause, he threw the folder down angrily, storming out without another word. Once the door slammed shut, I exhaled deeply, feeling lighter somehow. Rachel squeezed my shoulder reassuringly. "You did great, Liv. This is your house. Never forget that." Over the next several days, Jason's threats turned into frantic, pleading voicemails. "Olivia, please talk to me. We can fix this. Please don't do this to me." I ignored them all, refusing to let him weaken my resolve. One afternoon, Rachel called, her voice tinged with satisfaction. Andrew Stevens, the buyer Jason scammed, agreed to provide evidence against him. Detective Reynolds says we have a strong case if Jason refuses cooperation. "That's fantastic news," I replied, relief flooding me. "I'm finally getting my life back." That weekend, Hannah and Ethan came by, determined to help me reclaim my space. Together, we boxed up Jason's belongings. Every jacket, pair of shoes, and expensive silk tie tossed carelessly into boxes. "How's Jason taking all this?" Hannah asked, smirking slightly as she packed away another designer suit. "Not well," I admitted, a small smile tugging my lips. "He's alternating between anger and panic, but I'm not budging." Ethan smiled warmly, stacking Jason's possessions neatly. "He doesn't deserve another second of your time, Liv." Their unwavering support bolstered me, reminding me I wasn't alone anymore. My once lonely marriage was giving way to genuine friendship and support, something I deeply missed. A few days later, as predicted, Jason returned, his arrogance replaced entirely by desperation. He stood on my doorstep, pale and exhausted. "Please, Liv," he began quietly, defeated. "Let's just talk." "I'm done talking," I said evenly. "You chose betrayal. You laughed at the pain you caused. There's nothing left to say." He swallowed hard, eyes pleading. 6 years. Doesn't that mean anything?" "It meant everything," I said softly but firmly. "And you threw it all away for your ego. It's over, Jason." He opened his mouth, then closed it, defeated. Without another word, he turned and left. Watching him walk away, shoulders slumped in defeat, felt both painful and liberating. Later that evening, Ethan lingered after Hannah had gone home. We stood quietly in the kitchen, the silence between us heavy with unspoken emotion. "Liv?" Ethan finally spoke softly, stepping closer, his gaze warm yet cautious. "I know this might not be the right moment, but I need you to know. I've cared about you for a long time. I don't expect anything, but I just want you to know you're not alone." My breath caught, my heart racing. I met his eyes, sincerity shining in their depths. "Ethan, He gently touched my hand. "No rush. Take all the time you need." I smiled softly, grateful for his understanding. "Right now, I need time to rebuild myself." "I'll wait," he said quietly, sincerity clear in his eyes, "as long as it takes." As he left, I felt an unexpected warmth. Maybe someday Ethan and I could explore what lay unspoken between us, but today I knew my priority was healing. Later, as I looked around my now nearly empty home, cleared of Jason's things, I felt peace returning. His shadow no longer lingered here. This home, my sanctuary, finally belonged solely to me again. Jason's cruelty had nearly broken me, but in the end it revealed my strength. He'd laughed when delivering his betrayal, certain I was powerless. But his arrogance blinded him to one simple truth. Power is strongest when reclaimed from those who try to take it. And now, holding firmly onto that reclaimed strength, I knew one thing clearly. Jason Carter had gambled with cruelty and arrogance, and overnight he'd lost everything. The silence that settled over my Bellevue home after Jason finally left was surprisingly peaceful. For the first time in years, I could breathe deeply without feeling the oppressive weight of his arrogance, manipulation, and betrayal lingering in every corner. Slowly but surely, I began reclaiming the spaces that were once ours, turning them into mine alone. It wasn't long before Hannah and Ethan returned, this time bearing wine and laughter, ready to help me rebuild. Hannah flopped dramatically onto the couch, grinning mischievously as Ethan opened a bottle of wine. "Is he really gone, Liv?" Hannah asked, her eyes sparkling hopefully. "For good," I replied confidently, sinking down beside her, feeling a tension release I'd carried far too long. "Finally," Ethan breathed out, pouring 3 generous glasses. "Here's to you, Liv. Strong, unstoppable, and finally free." We clinked glasses, and as I sipped, warmth spread through me, not just from the wine, but from their unwavering friendship. I'd spent years believing Jason defined my happiness, that without him, I'd be lost. Yet now, surrounded by true friendship, I realized I'd never truly known what happiness felt like until this moment. Days turned to weeks, each morning brighter, lighter. Rachel meticulously guided the divorce paperwork through, ensuring Jason had no further leverage. Detective Reynolds quietly concluded his investigations, Jason forced to repay every cent he'd taken, humiliated and financially ruined, left only with shattered pride. One quiet evening, I sorted through old paperwork in my study, stumbling across an old photograph. Jason and I smiling genuinely during our first anniversary. For a moment, sadness gripped me, a fleeting pang for the innocence lost. "You okay?" Ethan's soft voice startled me gently from behind. I turned, smiling faintly. "Just saying goodbye to an old dream." He stepped closer, his presence comforting yet unobtrusive. "You're creating something better." I nodded slowly, warmth spreading through me. "Thank you, Ethan. You've been amazing." He smiled, genuine sincerity evident in his eyes. "I told you, I'll always be here." I touched his hand softly, grateful for his patience, his strength, his friendship. "I know. It means more than you realize." As Ethan left that evening, I lingered in the kitchen, thoughtfully staring at the photograph I'd found earlier. Jason and I smiling happily, blissfully unaware of the heartache ahead. Instead of sadness, I felt a quiet peace. A soft knock drew me from my reflections. Opening the door, Linda Carter stood there, hesitant yet warmly hopeful. "Liv, can we talk?" "Of course," I replied gently, stepping aside to let her in. We sat together at the kitchen table, her eyes filled with sincere regret. "I'm ashamed of Jason's choices," Linda admitted softly. "You deserved better." I took her hand gently. "It's not your fault, Linda." She squeezed my hand gratefully. "Your family, Olivia. That doesn't change." As Linda left later, I felt deeply touched. Even amidst Jason's cruelty, genuine bonds survived, proving strength emerged in unexpected places. A few days later, I received news from Rachel. The divorce was finalized cleanly and decisively. The weight I'd carried silently vanished instantly. Free. I savored the word, feeling genuinely liberated. To celebrate, Hannah, Ethan, Rachel, and I gathered at a rooftop bar overlooking Seattle's glittering skyline. Hannah raised her glass, eyes shining with pride. To fresh starts, powerful women, and reclaiming our lives. To freedom, Ethan added warmly, eyes meeting mine with gentle encouragement. I raised my glass, feeling profoundly grateful to finally living life on my own terms. Laughter filled the air, echoing into the crisp night, symbolic of the joy reclaimed from sorrow. After dinner, Ethan gently pulled me aside on the quiet rooftop balcony overlooking the twinkling city lights below. He hesitated slightly before speaking, his voice gentle yet sincere. "Liv, I know your life has been complicated lately," he began quietly, eyes earnest, "but I just need you to know, I truly care about you, more deeply than just friendship. I don't expect anything now, but when you're ready, I'll be here." Touched, I reached out softly, squeezing his hand warmly. "Ethan, you mean so much to me, but right now, I need time. Time to rediscover myself." "I understand," he replied warmly, genuine respect in his voice. "Take all the time you need." We returned to our friends, smiling softly. For the first time, I felt hopeful, not about a relationship, but about myself. Ethan's respect and patience reminded me that true connections never demanded sacrifices, only encouraged growth. The following weekend, Hannah joined me in redecorating the house, transforming each room into a space reflective solely of me. Colorful paintings replaced Jason's sterile business awards, cozy furniture replaced his pretentious decor, and laughter soon replaced lingering memories of his betrayal. One afternoon, Detective Reynolds visited briefly, updating me that Jason faced severe financial penalties but had avoided criminal charges due to my decision not to prosecute. "Are you sure, Olivia?" Mark asked carefully. "You still have the right." I considered for a moment before replying firmly. "Jason's lost enough. Taking his freedom won't change the past. I'm moving forward." He smiled warmly, respect clear in his eyes. "You're a remarkable woman, Olivia Carter." Weeks later, I stood in my revitalized home, sunlight pouring through open windows, the place finally mine. Hannah arrived cheerfully carrying 2 cups of coffee, settling comfortably beside me. "You're glowing, Liv," she teased gently. "Single life clearly suits you." I laughed softly, breathing deeply. "It's not being single, Han. It's feeling free for the first time in years." She smiled knowingly. "You deserve every moment of happiness ahead." As we sat together, talking and laughing comfortably, I realized something profound. Jason's betrayal hadn't destroyed me. It had freed me. Freed from his manipulation, freed from false expectations, I finally discovered my true worth. Days turned into months, a gentle routine forming. Work flourished, friendships deepened, and life became rich with newfound freedom. One evening, curled comfortably on the sofa with Ethan, Hannah, and Rachel, laughter filled my home. The sound genuine, pure, unburdened. "Liv," Rachel began softly, her voice thoughtful. "Did you ever imagine your life could feel like this?" "No," I admitted honestly, glancing around warmly. "I thought happiness meant perfection, but perfection was empty. This, real, flawed, beautifully messy, this is real happiness." Hannah lifted her wine glass warmly. "To new beginnings, powerful women, and never settling again." We laughed, glasses clinking joyously. Later, alone, Ethan lingered by the door. His eyes soft, he gently took my hand. "No rush, Liv, but I meant it. I'll wait." I smiled softly, squeezing his hand affectionately. "When I'm ready, Ethan, you'll be the first to know." His smile warmed my heart. "Good night, Olivia." Closing the door behind him, I leaned against it, breathing deeply. Jason's cruel betrayal initially devastated me, but it became the catalyst that set me free. I'd reclaimed my strength, independence, and identity, reshaping pain into unbreakable resilience. Jason Carter once laughed at my suffering, believing he'd won, but instead he'd given me the greatest gift, the chance to rediscover who I was meant to be. And for that, strangely, I was grateful. Now, facing a future I controlled fully, I smiled softly, empowered, peaceful, and entirely myself again. I was finally free,